lecture, we're going to create a program. This is actually a request from one of the subscribers, and I received this question. So we need to create a program where when user enters a name, first name and second name, the system will print the surname or the second name only. Okay, and this query is actually very I would say prevalent when you're working with queries in database, when you're using Oracle or many other database records where you are saving data of a user in the table, data of in fact many users in the tables. And sometimes when you are accessing the data, you don't really want to access the first name. You want that system should print, because sometimes first names are the same. I mean, even second names can be the same, but there are situations when you want to access second name only. Okay, so take it how it resonates. I'm gonna create this program. So the problem is that user enters a name, and name meaning first name and second name. System will print second name only. Okay, this is the problem that we're dealing with. Now let's understand how you can create a logic first. Okay, then we can move on to the coding part. Okay, first you have to create an algorithm. So I'm going to take an example of, let's say, this name. We have a name John Doe. So what we want is, when user enters this name, system should print Doe only, right? John should be, this should be ignored. So this is what we want. Now there are different ways of doing it. Again, you can come up with your own logic. Okay, one of the logic, one such statement can be, okay, let's start from the very beginning. So first we want that user should provide the name. So this is going to be a runtime input. Okay, and for runtime inputs, what do we use? For runtime input, we make use of input function. Okay, and this input function doesn't work with keywords, so you can provide a message here. It can be enter a name or something, right? So this is the first thing that I can think of, that I have to use this input function, right? What else? Let's suppose this input function has been used and user has provided this name John Doe. Now, how am I going to prompt the system to print Doe and ignore John? One of the things that we can do is, if we know the index of this part, like the second part, because if I treat them as two names, so if I know the index of the first character of second name, then I can easily go about it, because this is ultimately, what is it? This is going to be a string. Okay, and when you have a string, you can suppose if this is a equals to John. Okay, you can, if you know the index, you can easily access the parts of this string. You can easily access all the characters of this string. So if I know this part here, if I know this thing, this index here, I can increment it in this in these brackets, right? So one of the questions that arises here is, how do we get the index? How do we get the index, right? And before even that, how are we going to identify, how are we going to know that surname has started? This is the second name. How do we know? How will we know that this space will let us know? This space will let us know that second name has started. So when you are accessing this string, the moment space is encountered, we know that second string has started. All right. So what we need to do is, second thing, what we need to do is, we need to access index of space first. Okay, this is space 1, then you give some space, one more space, and then like one space is fine, right? So you need to access index of this space, and for that in Python we have index function, name of the string name dot index, and here you will provide character. Okay, so these are the things that we are going to use. Now let's visualize how this is going to work. Okay, so let's suppose I am taking this input and I'm gonna say enter a name, right? And then I'm going to take another variable b where I'm gonna access, as I told you, string name, so that would be a, and then dot index, and then name of the character. Okay, we want index of which character? We want index of space. Okay, so we'll put space here. So we got the index of space in b, right? Now we don't want this index to be we don't want this space to be printed on the screen. We want that when system starts printing, it should start from the first character of second string. Okay, so if b is the value of this space, we can actually increment it, right? So b equals to b plus 1, or you can even take c, another variable c, right? I'm gonna take b here. If you want it to be simple, let's take it as c. Okay, c equals to b plus 1. Now, so c equals to b plus 1. Now this is going to refer to d, right? So we want d, o, e, and then we want the program to stop. Okay, it should print second string and then it should stop. But how would it know this is the end of the string? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to use while loop, and we are since accessing a certain portion of string a, I'm gonna write a of c, because first character, because now see, a is the string. I used b variable to get the index of space, and then I incremented the value and saved it in C. This incremented value is, this C is the index of D, and that's what I want, right? So ultimately I'm gonna access all the values using variable C, right? So while a C, so that means, so in this case 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So this C's value is 5. So when I'm saying a of C, first value is a of 5. So this value is going to be D. So what I want is, while a of C is not equal to space, what should it do? It should keep printing the value. Okay, and the reason I have this space here, this will actually work as the condition. So in the end, when space arrives after E, this is going to stop. Okay, and then I'm going to increment the value C equals to C plus 1, right? And this is 5, then it will be 6, then it will be 7, and in the end, when space arrives, this is going to stop it. Program will be stopped. It will come to a halt, right? Now let's create a program and see if it works. I actually need to keep it like this so that it is visible, right? Yeah. Okay, so again I'm going to take a variable a, and here I'm gonna say enter a name. Okay, and then b equals to a dot index space c equals to b plus 1, while a of c is not equal to space, we need to print a c okay, and then c equals to c plus 1. Now there are a lot of modifications that we will need to do in this program, but I'm going to run it and then we'll come back to this page to create more modifications. That way you will understand once you implement the logic, it still requires some modifications, and that's okay. Okay, so let's save it. I'm gonna save it as p12. I would save it on the desktop, and we're gonna run it. It says enter a name, so I'm gonna enter John Doe. And now first of all, John Doe, it says DOE, right? This is in the next line. And why is that? Because by default print function works with new line character. So every time it accesses data, it accesses second string, it is printing all the characters in new line, and we don't want that. We want it to print it in the same line, right? So let's create the change here first. So that will be, and I've already covered this one in END and SEP video. You can check that. So I'm gonna put end here, and I want that it should, instead of having new line character, it should have space between the characters, because if I don't use this END, by default all the characters will have new lines. Okay, but I want that all the characters should not have new lines, they should have space when they are working, when we're working with them. So I'm gonna save it, run it one more time. So let's see. I'm gonna add John Doe. Okay, now as you see, DOE, this is in one line. Okay, this is what we want. Now what if, let me run it again. Now what if I want that I have to print, user wants to give input in the next line. So I pressed enter because I wanted to enter the next line. I didn't want to start from this line here, but then I got this error. Okay, so how can we stop this? Thing is, input works with, I told you it doesn't work with keywords. Okay, so if I want that it automatically it has to go to the new line, right? But when I go to the new line, it shows error. So what you have to do is, you need to give, this is because it provides it provides this statement on the screen, and then it is expecting the user to provide some input before you move on to the next line. But we want that once this statement gets printed, it should automatically wait for the user to give input in the next line. Okay, so for that we're gonna use /n here. /n is for new line character, new line for new line. Okay, this is a new line character. Okay, just like this is for space, this is new line character, right? I think this is forward, and this is, yeah, this is backward slash and n, new line character. So I'm gonna save it, run it again, and let's see, it says enter a name, and then it goes to the next line automatically. So I'm gonna give Joan Doe, it gives me this Doe. Now I'm getting this message here, index error, string index out of range. Why is this index out of range? This is because C is being incremented here, C equals to C plus 1. So first character AC is D, okay, D. Then C gets incremented, it goes to O. Then it gets incremented and E is printed using this print statement. But now E is the final, it is the last character in this second string, but still once it gets printed on the screen, C is incremented again, C equals to C plus 1, okay, and then it goes here. So in a way, we are trying to access a character that does not fall in the range of given string. Okay, it works, it is very similar to arrays. You know, we have a certain index, we have a certain range, and when character goes out of that range, it shows an error. So when it tries to access that, it does not find space, okay, because if it would have, if there was a space, had there was a space, it would have stopped the program, okay, but it did not find space. Why? Because the moment I wrote Joan Doe, I pressed enter, okay, so it did not find that. So what I'm going to do here is, for the sake of this program, every time I provide a name, I'm going to provide space so that it will identify the space for after the last character, and it will know that I need to stop, because I've already written here that if A of C is not equal to space, then it should print the next character. So if it is space, it automatically knows that it should stop. That's how while works. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is, yeah, I'm gonna Joan Doe, I'm gonna give space, and you will get DOE. Okay, so moral of the story is, what I was trying to explain, give me a second, this is, yeah, so what I was trying to explain, when you're given a program, when you're given a question, when you're given a query or a statement, understand that and create an algorithm, the smallest algorithm you can think of. Create an algorithm and then expand this algorithm, okay? Work on the idea, zero in on the solution, okay? What we are trying to get, how we can get there, right? And then create this pseudocode, as you call it, right? And then try to see how you can get this thing in the coding world, how you're actually, when you're actually going to execute it, how you're gonna get there. So for example, here when I was creating a pseudocode, I already knew that I want the user to provide the input, right? And then you're like, okay, so how can I get this in Python, right? So we have input function, so we can do that. And similarly, the other ideas, how we can execute them in Python, right? Do that, and when you're satisfied, create the program, okay, and run it. And then as you get the warnings, as you get the errors, understand those errors and make modifications in the program. Okay, this is actually going to help you build build up those debugging skills as well. You will be better at not only creating programs but identifying errors and correcting them, and creating algorithms as well, creating pseudocodes as well. So you are, in a way, killing two birds with one stone. Not two here, actually three. You're developing these three skills. So anyway, this was one of the queries, and I hope uh, I was able to resolve it. If you still have any doubt, feel free to ask. I'll see you in the next video lecture. Till then, take care.